What if everything you know about reality is a trick of rhythm? What if the world around you, this room, this body, even this thought, isn't solid at all, but a vibration so fast your senses mistake it for stability? Stop for a second. Listen. Beneath the noise of daily life there is a faint hum, the pulse beneath reality itself. Once you notice it, you can never unhear it. That pulse fascinated a man named Bentov. He wasn't a monk or a mystic. He was an engineer who looked at consciousness the way a physicist studies motion. To him, life was not a chain of events, but a waveform, a pendulum swinging between existence and absence. He claimed that the universe blinks 14 times every second. In those blinks, everything disappears, including you, and then returns so quickly you never notice the gaps. What feels like continuity is only memory stitching the frames together. Bentov called this rhythm the Wild Pendulum. On one side lies motion, on the other, stillness. At each pause, reality holds its breath. That breath is where the infinite hides. Meditation, he said, is not about escaping thought or chasing light. It is about stretching that moment of stillness until the blink becomes eternity. Inside that pause, time stops measuring itself. There is no before, no after, only awareness, pure and weightless. Think about how a pendulum works. At its peak, it hesitates for the briefest instant before falling back. In that hesitation, it is neither moving nor resting. It exists and doesn't exist at the same time. Bentov believed the universe moves exactly like that, between the swing of energy and the silence that births it. Matter, sound, consciousness, everything is caught in that cosmic oscillation. You are not a solid thing. You are a frequency, a note in a boundless song. Science tells us that atoms are mostly empty space, yet everything feels firm beneath our hands. The illusion of solidity is nothing more than waves overlapping, holding each other in perfect tension. Bentov saw beauty in that paradox. He believed that behind the apparent chaos of life, there is perfect rhythm, order dressed as movement. The mystics call it harmony. The physicists call it resonance. Either way, it is the same thing, the heartbeat of creation. When you begin to sense it, reality shifts. The world stops being a collection of objects and becomes a single dance of vibration. Your heartbeat syncs with the hidden rhythm. Your breath becomes an instrument. Every sound, every thought, every moment of silence joins the same orchestra. You start to understand why every spiritual tradition speaks of the space between thoughts, the pause between breaths. That is where truth waits, patient and eternal. Bentov's discovery wasn't just theoretical, it was visceral. He saw how awareness itself could travel through those pauses, how consciousness could step outside the sequence of time. He said that death is simply the pendulum's swing into rest, a momentary pause before another motion begins. Nothing truly ends, it only changes tempo. And if that's true, then every loss, every ending you've ever feared, might just be a transition between beats. Now imagine the implications. If the universe blinks, if you blink with it, then what are you really? Are you the movement, or the stillness watching the movement? Are you the note, or the silence that allows the song to exist? Maybe both, maybe neither, maybe something deeper that cannot be named. If you've felt that strange sense of déjà vu, that eerie calm where time seems to stop, maybe you've touched that hidden pulse for a moment. Maybe it was the universe reminding you that you are part of its rhythm. And if you have, you already know, nothing will ever feel quite as ordinary again. If this idea stirs something in you, If you can almost sense that hum in the background, then stay with me. We're going to follow Bentov's pendulum through science, through mysticism, through the invisible spaces where reality blinks. Before we continue, take a breath. Feel that pause. That's where it all begins. And if you're ready to go deeper, show it. Leave a trace of your presence here. Like this video, subscribe so you don't miss the next swing of the pendulum, and tell me in the comments, when was the last time you felt reality pause around you? If the universe breathes, then sound is its voice. Every vibration, every motion, every atom is a note in a song so vast we can't hear it all at once. Bentov said that what we call solid matter is only sound slowed down. Stone, skin, steel, all frozen music. And when the rhythm rises, when the frequency shifts, the frozen begins to dance. Imagine grains of sand scattered on a metal plate. When sound touches it, the chaos starts to move. The grains tremble, swirl, and suddenly fall into perfect shapes: stars, spirals, flowers. The stronger the tone, the more complex the pattern. This is cymatics, the science of visible sound. It's not magic. It's the truth of how vibration builds form. Every shape you've ever seen is a song you cannot hear. Now stretch that image out across the cosmos. Galaxies spin in spirals, shells curl, snowflakes unfold, all following invisible frequencies. The same patterns appear in your heartbeat, in the rhythm of your breath, in the waves of your brain. The design repeats endlessly. Chaos turns to order. Noise becomes geometry. The same sound that moves sand on a plate moves creation itself. Bentov saw that every living thing hums with its own tone. Cells vibrate, organs resonate, and together they form the orchestra we call the human body. You are not built, you are played. Your thoughts are ripples in that resonance. Your emotions are changes in the pitch. When you are calm, your frequencies align. When you are afraid, they clash. This is why harmony feels like peace. It is not a metaphor. It is physics written in flesh. He performed a simple experiment. Drop 3 pebbles into a bowl of still water. Watch as their ripples cross and weave new patterns across the surface. That pattern, born from interference, is a map. Without seeing the pebbles, you can still know where they are, how big they are, how they move. You can read the invisible from the visible. And that, Bentov said, is what reality is. Interference. The meeting of unseen waves that shape everything we call real. You, sitting here, are part of that pattern. Every thought, every action, every feeling sends ripples through the field. When 2 people meet, their fields overlap. Their rhythms merge for a moment. Sometimes they clash. Sometimes they create harmony. You can feel it when it happens. That instant connection, that magnetic pull, or that sudden resistance. It's not imagination. It's resonance. Now think about how many layers of this overlap exist between people, between places, between planets. Everything is woven into a single web of vibration. Ancient mystics called it the net of being. Scientists call it the unified field. Bentov called it the hologram. Because just like a hologram, every part of the web contains the image of the whole. Cut a hologram in half, and each piece still shows the complete picture, only dimmer. The same is true for you. Every cell carries the entire pattern of existence, a reflection of the cosmos folded inside. That's why mystics said, "As above, so below." The pattern of galaxies mirrors the pattern of neurons. The rhythm of the ocean mirrors the rhythm of your pulse. The universe doesn't speak in words. It speaks in repetition. And every repetition is a reminder. that you are not separate from the sound, you are the sound. Pause for a moment. Listen to the hum behind the silence in your room, that quiet vibration that never stops. It's not the refrigerator, not the city, not the wind, it's the field. The same one moving through your body, through the walls, through the stars. You are not inside it, you are made of it. The moment you understand this, something changes. The world stops feeling like something happening to you and starts feeling like something happening through you. Every encounter, every sound, every thought becomes part of the same melody. You realize there was never distance, only rhythm. And once you hear it, you can't go back to silence. So tell me, when you listen right now, not with your ears, but with that quiet awareness inside, can you feel the vibration underneath everything? If you can, write in the comments what it feels like. Because maybe, together, we can map the invisible. And don't forget, if you want to keep traveling deeper into this rhythm, like the pendulum swinging through truth and illusion, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next part will take us into the hologram itself, where thought and matter become one sound. If the universe is vibration, then the mind is its receiver. Bentov said that the brain does not make consciousness any more than a radio makes music. The music is already in the air. The radio just tunes in. Your mind works the same way. Thoughts do not live inside your head. They flow through it, like waves across an antenna made of flesh. Think about this for a moment. When a person loses half their brain in an accident and still remembers their name, their family, their past, how is that possible? Because memory is not stored in a box of tissue. It is stored in the field itself. Every thought, every memory, every dream exists as a pattern of vibration, and the brain simply decodes it. You are not the signal. You are the receiver. This is why two people can sit side by side and see the same world differently. Each one tunes to a slightly different frequency. One catches the channel of fear, another the channel of hope. The difference is not in what they look at, but in what they resonate with. Change your frequency, and the world you see will change with it. This is not poetry. It is physics wearing a human face. The mind, Bentov said, is holographic. Every part of it contains the whole. That is why even a fragment of a memory can awaken an entire life. Cut the image, and it still shows the picture, only softer. Consciousness works the same way. You do not need the whole brain to be whole. A single spark of awareness reflects the entire universe. Now picture a row of old clocks ticking on the same wall. At first, they swing out of sync, each one beating its own time. But wait long enough, and something strange happens. The pendulums begin to fall into rhythm. One by one, they align until they move as a single body. Scientists call this synchronization. Bentov saw it as proof that reality seeks harmony. Every system, mechanical, biological, even spiritual, wants coherence. You feel this every day. The friend whose presence calms you, the room that feels safe the moment you walk in, the music that steadies your breathing. These are not coincidences. They are resonances. When your inner rhythm matches the rhythm around you, the noise disappears. That is why love feels like peace. Two frequencies meeting until the difference between them is gone. Bentov believed that when people meditate together, their brain waves begin to sync the same way. Hearts slow down, breaths align, thoughts move toward stillness. The body becomes a tuning fork for the field. In those moments, the illusion of separation fades. You are not many minds. You are one mirror reflecting itself in 1,000 directions. This is the mystery of consciousness. Not that it is trapped inside you, but that it extends far beyond you. The space between us is not empty. It is filled with shared awareness waiting to be recognized. When you think, you do not only shape your own life, you ripple through the field that binds us all. Every thought sends a vibration outward, shaping the patterns we call reality. So the next time you feel a sudden wave of emotion that seems to come from nowhere, pause. Maybe it is not yours alone. Maybe it is the echo of another consciousness crossing your frequency. The field is full of these whispers, and when you learn to listen, you begin to live differently, softer, clearer, aware that every inner storm is part of a greater weather. The question is, what are you broadcasting right now? What signal are you sending into the net that connects every living thing? If the world mirrors the mind, then every heartbeat, every thought, every silence becomes an act of creation. If this makes sense to you, stay with me. Like the sound that turns to form, we're about to follow thought as it becomes matter itself. Before we go there, leave a trace, like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. What do you think your mind is tuning into right now? Fear, peace, or something beyond both? They told us that atoms are solid, that everything you touch is made of tiny, hard spheres spinning together to build the world. But that was never true. Look deeper, and the atom dissolves. What remains is almost nothing. A cloud of possibility, a field of energy appearing and disappearing faster than you can blink. The chair beneath you, the ground beneath your feet, your own body. All of it is 99.999% empty space. Bentov said that the only thing real about matter is the vibration that holds it together. What feels solid is only movement in perfect balance. Think of a guitar string. When it is still, it is invisible. But when you pluck it, it becomes visible because it vibrates fast enough for your eyes to catch the motion. Matter works the same way. The universe is a string, endlessly plucked by consciousness. When you touch a wall, you do not meet something firm. You meet the push of magnetic fields repelling each other. Nothing ever truly touches. Every contact is distance pretending to be closeness. The space between particles is where reality hides. In that space, everything flickers, appearing, disappearing, appearing again, like the pendulum Bentov described. 14 times every second, the universe forgets itself and begins again. That means you are blinking too. You vanish and return so fast you never notice. The continuity you feel, the steady flow of being, is only memory bridging the gaps. For an instant, you are not here at all. Then you are. Then you are not. The rhythm is so fast that existence feels unbroken, but it is not. It is the wild pendulum breathing. So what happens in those gaps, in the moments when you are gone? Mystics say the soul touches the infinite there. Physicists call it the vacuum field. Bentov said it is both, a space where creation rests before the next heartbeat of existence. Every blink is an ending and a beginning, a pulse of life repeating itself into eternity. This is not just science, it is revelation. Because if matter is mostly nothing, then what we call real is built on emptiness. But this emptiness is not absence, it is potential, the source from which everything arises, the same silence between heartbeats, between breaths, between thoughts, the stillness behind all motion. When you meditate, when you sit in quiet and your thoughts slow down, you begin to feel it. The body becomes light, the boundaries soften, time seems to lose its grip, You start to realize that you are not a solid thing sitting inside space. You are the space itself, the silence that holds all movement, and suddenly the fear of death starts to fade. Because death is only the long pause between two blinks. The pendulum swings to stillness, waits, then begins again. The self does not vanish. It rests. The rhythm never ends. Bentov believed this is why we exist, to learn the rhythm of being and non-being until we no longer fear the pause. Once you stop resisting the stillness, the universe opens. You begin to see through the illusion of solidity. You begin to feel how the walls are breathing, how every atom sings its note in the endless song of creation. And maybe then, for the first time, you understand what it means to be free. Not free to move, but free to be motion and stillness at once. If this thought resonates with you, if you've ever felt the world dissolve for a second, maybe in silence, in grief, in wonder, then you've already touched that field. Write in the comments what that moment felt like for you. Did it scare you, or did it set you free? And before the next blink comes, hit like, subscribe, and stay close. Because in the next part, we'll follow this rhythm into time itself, to see how the universe bends, stretches, and pauses when consciousness looks back at it. We are taught to think of time as a straight line, a steady river that carries us from birth to death. But Bentov looked closer and saw that time is not a river at all. It is a heartbeat. It stretches, pauses, contracts, and stops. Not because the clock changes, but because you do. Time bends under awareness like light through glass. When you are afraid, a second feels like an hour. When you are in love, an hour vanishes in a blink. The body measures time differently depending on the vibration it holds. To Bentov, this was not just psychology, it was physics. Consciousness does not move through time, it creates it. Each blink of reality, each pulse of the pendulum, builds the illusion of flow. He designed a simple experiment. Place a watch before you and watch the second hand move. Then close your eyes and sink into the deepest image you can imagine. The warmth of the sun, the smell of the ocean, the sound of wind. When you open your eyes again, you'll notice something strange. The second hand seems to hesitate. It slows. For a moment, it almost stops. What changed? Not the clock. Your vibration. In that instant, your awareness stepped between the beats of reality into the gap where time does not exist. Meditation is nothing more than learning to rest in that gap. It is the art of stretching a single second until it becomes infinite. You could live a lifetime inside one blink of awareness and never notice the world outside moving at all. This is why mystics speak of eternity not as endless duration, but as no duration at all. Eternity is not forever. It is now, the still point where all moments meet. Bentov said that if you could move at infinite speed, you would be everywhere at once. But if you could stop completely, rest so deeply that all motion ceases, you would also be everywhere at once. Perfect motion and perfect stillness are the same. Both lead to timelessness. In this way, time is not a prison. It is a mirror that bends with your perception. The faster your mind races, the tighter the mirror wraps around you. The calmer you become, the wider it opens until all directions collapse into one point, the eternal present. You have touched this before. In moments of danger when the world slows down, in moments of love when hours disappear, in silence when thought fades and only being remains. That is the real face of time. Bentov believed that this was the true path of evolution, learning to move through these layers of perception, to step outside the clock and experience life as a single vibration. When you stop being a prisoner of minutes and hours, fear loses its grip. Because fear lives in the future, and regret lives in the past. In the present, there is only awareness, and awareness cannot be hurt. So, what if the goal of consciousness is not to escape time, but to understand it, to see it as a tool, not a chain? The more aware you become, the slower time feels, until one day it stops altogether. Not because you have died, but because you have finally caught up with yourself. When that happens, every second becomes sacred. Every pause, every breath, every blink feels like the entire universe resting in your hands. You begin to live not by hours, but by awareness. And that awareness is eternal. If you've ever had that moment where time slowed, where everything felt still and endless, tell me in the comments what it was like. Did it feel peaceful or frightening? What did you see in that silence? And if you want to keep exploring the edges of time with me, like this video, subscribe, and stay tuned. In the next part, we'll move beyond time into the spectrum of consciousness itself, where realities stack like layers of sound and awareness climbs toward the infinite. If time can bend, then so can awareness. Bentov believed that consciousness is not a single state, but a spectrum, a vast band of frequencies stretching far beyond what the human mind can usually tune to. What we call reality is only one narrow range within that band. It's like listening to one radio station while thousands of others play around you, silent but alive. He described these ranges as layers, F5, F6, F7, and beyond, each one a different octave of being. The human mind lives somewhere in the middle, translating vibration into sight, sound, thought, and memory. But above that lie states so subtle that our senses cannot touch them. Below lie levels so dense that awareness slows almost to stillness. To Bentov, evolution was not just biology. It was vibration rising through these frequencies. Every thought, every emotion, every act of understanding lifts awareness slightly higher on the scale. The goal is not to escape the lower bands, but to integrate them, to bring harmony between all levels of yourself, from the physical to the infinite. He said that each layer of reality has its own laws. In the physical world, things are solid and time is linear. In the astral, emotion becomes substance. In the mental, thought creates form. In the causal, creation itself begins. And beyond them all is the absolute, the silent field where everything rests, where movement and stillness merge into one. It is easy to get lost in the middle layers. The astral realm is bright and seductive, full of beauty and chaos, mirrors and masks. Many seekers stop there, believing they have reached the truth. But Bentov warned that the astral is only halfway. It reflects the emotional body, powerful but unstable. The true ascent begins when you rise above emotion and enter clarity, the realm of pure creation, and then beyond even that, into the absolute. The absolute cannot be described. It has no color, no shape, no time. It is not light or dark, not near or far. It is the pause between all vibrations, the same pause the pendulum reaches before it swings again. The mystics call it the source. Scientists might call it the field. Bentov simply called it home. To climb through these levels is not about leaving your body or floating away. It is about expanding perception until you realize you never left anything. You have always existed on all frequencies at once. Awareness is like a staircase. You only need to walk far enough up to see that the steps were one shape all along. Every spiritual tradition has described this in its own language. The Buddhists speak of ascending through planes of mind. The Sufis call it the journey through veils. The Hermeticists say, as above, so below. All of them point to the same truth. Consciousness is layered, and every layer is alive. When you meditate, dream, or lose yourself in creation, you are already moving between these frequencies. You have felt it. The moments when the world around you seems sharper, colors brighter, thoughts quieter, as if you are looking through a clearer window. That is not imagination. That is the tuning of your awareness to a higher band. And if you've ever felt the opposite, when life becomes heavy, slow, dim, like walking through fog, that is the descent into a lower band. It is not punishment, just experience. The trick is to remember that all bands belong to the same field. You are not a traveler between them. You are the field itself, remembering its own depths. So the next time you close your eyes, instead of asking to see more, ask to feel more. Not just the world around you, but the frequencies beneath it. Because once you learn to listen, you realize you are never limited at all. The universe is not out there. It is here, vibrating through every cell of your being, waiting for you to remember its rhythm. If you've ever felt yourself shift, maybe in a dream, a song, or a quiet moment where the air itself seemed alive, tell me in the comments what that felt like. What did you sense in that space between thoughts? And if you want to keep exploring the ladder of awareness, like this video, subscribe, and stay tuned. In the next part, we'll follow this spectrum to its origin, where myth meets science, and the story of creation begins not with matter, but with thought itself. Every culture has told the same story in a different tongue, the story of how everything began, not with chaos, not with explosion, but with an egg. In India, they called it Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb of the universe. In Egypt, it was the egg of Ra. The Chinese spoke of the shell that split into heaven and earth. Even in the cold lands of the north, myths whispered of a seed of light floating in endless night. To Bentov, these were not fantasies. They were memory, old echoes of a truth that modern science had only begun to rediscover. He saw the universe not as an accident, but as a living organism, pulsing, expanding, contracting, breathing. The Big Bang was not a single event, but a heartbeat, one exhalation in a rhythm that never ends. Imagine an egg floating in darkness. Inside it, a pulse stirs. The shell holds pressure, vibration, warmth. Then, in a moment beyond time, it cracks. Light bursts through. Expansion begins. Worlds form from the fragments. But the egg does not disappear. Its shell becomes space. Its yolk becomes matter. Its pulse becomes time itself. That is our universe. Not dead machinery, but a living birth that repeats forever. Bentov believed that the shape of the cosmos mirrors this egg, a torus, a looping flow that expands outward, folds back, and feeds itself again. Every breath, every galaxy, every life follows this same motion, outward into experience, inward into rest. Birth and death are not opposites. They are the two halves of the same breath. Ancient people somehow knew this. They carved spirals into stones, drew circles within circles, spoke of cycles and rebirths. They described creation as something that hatches again and again, each time learning a little more about itself. Modern physics now sees something eerily similar. Expansion and contraction, energy looping through time. The myths and the math are different languages for the same truth. And what if this pattern doesn't just belong to stars, but to you? You too began as an egg, floating in warmth and darkness, guided by invisible fields. Bentov showed that every embryo grows along an electromagnetic axis, shaped by a current that flows from pole to pole. The body doesn't simply form, it unfolds along the lines of energy that existed before it. Life, he said, follows a blueprint woven into the field. The same pattern appears in seeds, in shells, even in galaxies. It is the universe repeating its own signature at every scale. Each egg, each birth, each pulse is a smaller version of the first. The cosmos copies itself endlessly, folding the infinite into the finite. The meaning is simple but profound. Creation is not a one-time act. It is a rhythm. The universe is born, rests, breathes, and is born again. The shell cracks, light escapes, the cycle repeats. There is no beginning, no end, only the motion of awakening. Maybe that is why you sometimes feel déjà vu, that eerie sense of having lived this before. Maybe you have. Maybe consciousness hatches again and again, remembering fragments of its previous wings. Every moment is a birth, every insight a crack in the shell. So ask yourself, if the universe is alive, if it grows like an egg that keeps hatching new forms of itself, what are you becoming right now? What shell are you outgrowing? If that thought stirs something in you, leave your trace. Like the video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what do you think is waiting on the other side of your shell? Bentov often said that life doesn't begin with the body, it begins with the field. Before a cell divides, before a heart beats, before the first breath enters the lungs, something else is already there, shaping what will come. You can't see it, but it guides everything. He called it the template, an invisible pattern made of energy and vibration that decides how matter will grow. Think of it this way. A seed falls into the earth. Inside it lies a code, but that code is not enough. Without the sun, without water, without the invisible electromagnetic fields of the planet, the seed would never awaken. It's not just chemistry, it's harmony. The field sings to the seed, and the seed responds. Life is not assembled, it's conducted. Every living thing has its own field. It surrounds the body like a halo, subtle but real. It extends beyond the skin, touching the world around it, linking one organism to another. Your heartbeat sends tiny magnetic waves into space, and those waves affect the rhythm of everything near you. Two people standing close can sync their heartbeats without a word. The field listens. The field responds. Bentov saw the human body as a musical instrument built for resonance. The heart is the drum, the brain the harp, the breath the wind that keeps the melody alive. When you are balanced, your frequencies play in harmony. When you are afraid or angry, the tune becomes chaotic. Disease, he said, is simply dissonance, the song of the body falling out of tune with itself. Healing is not just fixing tissue, it's retuning the field. He wasn't alone in this idea. Across the world, ancient traditions had already spoken of it. The Chinese called it qi, the Indians prana, the Egyptians ka. Every culture felt it long before science tried to measure it. Bentov simply brought it back into the language of physics, the same language the universe speaks through vibration. When you stand near someone you love, you can feel it. The space between you softens, becomes warm, alive. When someone full of anger enters a room, the air thickens, the field shifts. You sense it before you see it. These are not emotions floating in the air. They are waves moving through the field that connects every living being. Bentov believed that the field remembers. Every thought, every action leaves an imprint, a vibration that lingers long after the event is gone. This memory builds patterns, like invisible architecture holding the shape of history. When groups of people gather with the same emotion, the field around them strengthens, thickens, becomes almost tangible. That's why sacred places feel different, why music can move crowds, why love can heal. The field records it all. And if the field can shape matter, what does that say about thought? Because thought itself is energy, fine, subtle, and endlessly creative. The same force that shapes the embryo shapes the world of experience. Every idea, every feeling is a ripple in the great template, bending the flow of creation just a little. That's why awareness matters. You are not only inside the field, you are part of the field that shapes everything. It's easy to forget this. We live surrounded by walls, by noise, by the illusion of separation. But the truth never stopped humming beneath it all. You are a living antenna, receiving and transmitting every moment. The more coherent your vibration, the clearer your life becomes. Chaos outside fades when harmony inside returns. So next time you walk through the world, pay attention. Notice how certain places calm you, how some people lift you, how others drain you. The field is always speaking. The question is, are you listening? If you've ever felt that invisible pull between you and someone else, or that strange peace in a place you couldn't explain, tell me in the comments what it was like. Because maybe that's how the universe says hello. And if this feels true to you, like the heartbeat of something you've always known, like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned. In the next part, we'll explore how thought itself becomes form, how imagination moves from the unseen into the seen, turning vibration into matter. If everything begins with vibration, then thought is the first movement. Before anything exists, before atoms, before light, there is awareness, and awareness imagines. Bentov said that imagination is not fantasy. It is the blueprint of creation. The universe itself began as a thought, a self-reflecting awareness wondering what it would feel like to exist. Close your eyes for a moment. Think of something simple, a flame, a tree, a face you love. Instantly, your brain lights up in patterns almost identical to what would happen if that thing were real. The body doesn't know the difference between thought and experience. The field responds to both as vibration. What you imagine begins to exist, not yet in the world you can touch, but in the field that builds it. Every idea is a seed. Every emotion is water. Together, they grow into form. This is not poetry. This is the silent engine behind all creation. Scientists have measured it. Focused intention changes physical systems in ways that cannot be explained by chance. The observer changes what is observed. The thought moves the matter. Bentov believed that consciousness is the projector and reality is the screen. The film running through the projector is thought, your inner dialogue, your beliefs, your imagination. What you think, you see. What you expect, you meet. When you change the film, the picture changes, and yet the projector, the source of light itself, never moves. That is awareness, the unchanging core behind all creation. He said that this is why prayer, visualization, and meditation have power. Not because they ask for miracles, but because they tune the vibration of the self to match the pattern of the thing desired. When the two frequencies meet, they merge. The invisible becomes visible. The imagined becomes real. You don't force creation, you align with it. Imagine a sculptor shaping clay. The form already exists in his mind before it ever touches the material. His hands only follow what his vision has already created. Life works the same way. You are both sculptor and clay. Every choice, every emotion, every belief presses into the soft matter of reality and leaves its mark. The world mirrors your inner pattern. Change the pattern, and the mirror changes. But here is the secret Bentov hinted at. The field doesn't respond to surface thoughts. It listens to coherence. It follows the deeper vibration beneath the words. You can't say one thing and feel another. The field doesn't hear what you say. It hears what you are. That's why when fear hides behind your wish, the outcome bends toward fear. When trust fills your thought, creation flows like breath. So, creation isn't about control. It's about resonance. When your inner song matches the one the universe is already singing, reality flows effortlessly around you. You begin to notice small coincidences, doors opening, people appearing at the right moment. The pattern rearranges itself to echo your frequency. The invisible moves the visible. And the most astonishing truth of all, you've done this your whole life without realizing it. Every event, every encounter, every chance moment is an echo of your inner vibration. You are not watching reality unfold. You are helping it unfold by being aware. So maybe the real question isn't whether thoughts create reality, but which thoughts you allow to live long enough to take shape. Every belief you feed becomes a structure in the field. Every fear you repeat becomes a shadow you must walk through later. You are the architect of both your freedom and your cage. If you've ever had a dream, a vision, or a thought that somehow later came true, even in a strange way, write in the comments what it was. Maybe you'll realize how powerful you already are. And if this part resonated with you, give the video a like, subscribe, and stay tuned. In the next part, we'll go even deeper into the mystery of mirrors and reflection, and why the universe always shows you exactly what you are inside. Bentov used to say, "The universe is not a stage, it is a mirror." Everything you meet, every sound, every person, every event, all of it is a reflection of the vibration you carry inside. The world is not happening to you. It is happening through you. It's easy to think that life is random, that chance decides who rises and who falls. But what if nothing is random? What if everything that appears in front of you is your own frequency echoing back so that you can finally see it? The mirror never lies. It only reflects. When you feel anger and the world seems cruel, that is not punishment. It is resonance. The vibration of anger attracts its image. People, moments, outcomes that vibrate the same. When you carry peace, the world begins to soften. The faces around you change, not because they are different people, but because you are seeing through a different lens. Bentov explained it in simple terms. Consciousness projects energy outward into the field. That energy, like light, bounces off the patterns around it and returns to its source. The reflection carries information. The more coherent your inner signal, the clearer the reflection. The more chaotic your vibration, the more distorted the image that returns. The universe always sends back your own broadcast. That's why some lessons repeat again and again. The same kind of people, the same mistakes, the same emotions looping like old music. It isn't fate, it's feedback. The field keeps showing you your own frequency until you shift it. Once you do, the outer world rearranges itself. It's like tuning a radio. If you keep hearing static, you don't break the radio, you adjust the dial. You don't fight the noise, you find a clearer signal. Life works the same way. The universe never punishes, never rewards, it only mirrors. When you finally understand this, something inside relaxes. The blame fades. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of life, and start seeing life as a dialogue, a conversation between your inner world and the infinite field around you. You ask through vibration. The field answers through experience. Bentov said, "This is the beginning of real mastery, to become conscious of what you're broadcasting. Every emotion, every belief is a signal. Every thought sends out a wave. When you start aligning them, coherence grows. The field clears. Reality becomes smoother. Life begins to respond with precision. Even the smallest acts echo. A single thought of compassion can ripple through the field and reach hearts you will never meet. The energy of kindness expands. The vibration of fear contracts. The mirror responds instantly. That's why the ancient masters spoke of purity, not as morality, but as resonance. The clearer the vibration, the clearer the world. The most beautiful part is that the mirror doesn't judge. It reflects without bias. It shows love as easily as pain. It offers you the chance to see yourself from every angle. What you do with that image, that is your freedom. So next time something hurts you, before reacting, pause. Look at it as a reflection, not an attack. Ask, what vibration inside me brought this image into form? What can I learn from this mirror? That question alone can turn pain into light. And maybe that's the true purpose of existence, not to conquer the world, but to understand your reflection within it. If you've ever had a moment when life mirrored something inside you so clearly that it shocked you, a person who acted like your hidden self, an event that revealed your fear, share it in the comments. What did it teach you? And if this idea resonates, give the video a like, subscribe, and stay close. Because in the next part, we'll explore the next layer of the mirror, the collective reflection, how entire societies vibrate together, and how humanity's shared field shapes the future we are already walking into. If one mind can shape reality, imagine what happens when millions of minds vibrate together. Bentov believed that consciousness is not separate units floating in space. It is one continuous field, divided only by perception. Every human thought, every feeling, every act of awareness feeds into the same ocean of vibration. He called it the collective field, the heartbeat of humanity. You felt it before, even if you didn't have a name for it. When a crowd moves as one, when a wave of emotion sweeps through a concert, a protest, a prayer, that invisible pulse connecting strangers is the field. The same rhythm passes through everyone, and for a moment, all differences dissolve. You are not many minds. You are one great instrument playing itself through billions of notes. When fear spreads, the field tightens. You can feel it. The air seems heavier, conversations sharper, the world smaller. When hope rises, the field expands. Ideas bloom, hearts open. The impossible starts to seem possible again. That is why great changes in history come not from leaders, but from collective emotion. A single vibration repeated by millions becomes a force that bends reality itself. Bentov compared the collective mind to a standing wave. Each person is a peak or a valley, but together they form one continuous pattern. When the peaks rise in harmony, the energy amplifies. When they clash, the pattern breaks. Wars, revolutions, awakenings, all of them are shifts in that shared vibration. Humanity is not moving through time. It is tuning itself toward coherence. Science has begun to catch up. Researchers have measured how global events ripple through the magnetic field of the planet itself. When people around the world focus on the same emotion, grief, fear, love, unity, the field of the earth subtly changes. The planet listens, it responds. We are not living on the earth, We are living with it as part of its nervous system. Bentov said that when enough minds align in higher awareness, a kind of resonance cascade begins, an acceleration of understanding that spreads like sound through air. Each person who wakes up adds their note to the song, making it easier for the next to tune in. Awakening, he said, is contagious. That is why kindness matters more than it seems. Every thought of peace, every small act of compassion, every time you choose understanding over judgment, all of it strengthens the field. You may never see the ripples you create, but they exist. They pass through others, reach places you'll never go, and return in ways you could never predict. He believed that this is how humanity evolves, not through technology or conquest, but through vibration. When the collective field reaches coherence, something extraordinary happens. Reality itself begins to reorganize. Systems built on fear collapse. New patterns emerge. The world breathes differently. It has happened before, and it will happen again. Perhaps that's why, in times of crisis, people feel both chaos and clarity at once. The old vibration is breaking, the new one forming. It feels unstable because we are shifting octaves as a species. The pendulum is swinging, and we are all moving with it. If you've ever felt the world change around you, suddenly, like the air itself had a new frequency, maybe you were sensing this field. Maybe you were part of the moment when humanity tuned a little closer to harmony. So here's a question. What emotion do you think our world is vibrating with right now? Hope, fear, confusion, awakening? Write it in the comments, and let's see if together we can start to change the tone. And if this vision of connection makes sense to you, like the quiet truth behind everything, like the hum beneath the noise, give the video a like, subscribe, and stay tuned. In the next part, we'll follow this collective vibration into the mystery of destiny itself, how the future is shaped not by chance, but by the frequency we hold today. Bentov used to say that the future isn't waiting for us, it's vibrating toward us. What we call destiny is not a line drawn in stone, but a wave that takes shape through resonance. Every thought you have, every feeling you repeat, sends ripples into the field. Those ripples move forward, weaving together into the fabric we call tomorrow. The future is not written, it is tuned. Most people imagine time as a road stretching ahead, and themselves as travelers moving along it. But Bentov saw it differently. He said that all possible futures already exist, not as events, but as frequencies. You don't walk toward them, you tune into them. Your vibration decides which version of reality solidifies around you. Every choice, every emotion, is a shift of frequency. That's why two people can live side by side in the same world and yet experience completely different realities. One vibrates in fear and sees danger everywhere. Another vibrates in trust and finds opportunities in the same streets, the same moments. The outer world bends to the inner tone. The field listens carefully to what you are broadcasting and arranges itself to match. Bentov believed that when the collective field changes frequency, entire futures open or close. Civilizations rise when their people resonate with vision and fall when their vibration becomes too heavy with fear. He said it was not fate that guided humanity, but resonance, the invisible harmony between what we feel and what we create. The future, in his eyes, was not a mystery to be solved, but a song to be played. You can see it even in your own life. Think about moments when you followed your intuition and everything seemed to align. People appeared at the right time, doors opened, events unfolded naturally. That wasn't coincidence. That was you moving in tune with your own field. When you follow the frequency of coherence, reality flows like music. When you move against it, everything feels forced. This is what ancient teachers meant when they said, "As within, so without." The energy you cultivate today becomes the structure of your tomorrow. Thoughts are the architects of time. Every pattern you repeat becomes stronger until it shapes the rhythm of your life. The good news is, you can always change the song. Bentov taught that meditation, gratitude, and awareness aren't spiritual luxuries. They're tools for retuning the self. When you slow down your mind, your vibration rises. When you act with intention, your future clears. When you align your emotion and thought, the field responds instantly. Destiny is not control, it's collaboration. He liked to say that time is not a straight arrow, but a spiral. Every moment loops back with new meaning, like music repeating a theme at a higher octave. You meet the same lessons again and again, not because you failed, but because you are refining their vibration. Each return carries more understanding, more clarity, more resonance. The spiral keeps rising. So what if destiny isn't something you chase, but something you remember? A vibration already written into your being, waiting for you to match it. What if the highest version of your life already exists, shimmering just beyond your current frequency, waiting for one clear thought, one pure feeling to bring it into focus? The truth Bentov left behind is simple but powerful. The future doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. You are the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between the vibration and the form. The field is always ready. It's your signal that decides what becomes real. So take a breath. Feel what you're broadcasting right now. If the future were listening, and it is, what would it hear? Write your answer in the comments. And if this part made you think differently about tomorrow, give the video a like, subscribe, and stay close. Because in the next part, we'll explore what happens when consciousness steps completely outside of time, when awareness sees not the future or the past, but all moments at once. Bentov said that time is not something we move through. It's something we look at from inside the illusion of movement. The truth is, all moments already exist. The past, the present, the future. They are not different roads, but one vast landscape seen from different heights of awareness. When you climb high enough, you stop seeing the sequence. You see the whole. Think of a mountain. When you stand at its base, you see only the narrow path in front of you. Every step feels like progress, every turn like change. But when you reach the top and look down, the path, the start, and the end are all part of the same pattern. Time works exactly like that. From the ground, it feels like motion. From the peak, it is still. In the deepest meditations, Bentov said, the sense of time begins to dissolve. Minutes vanish, hours collapse, and suddenly you are aware of everything at once. Your past, your present, even fragments of futures not yet lived. They exist together, like notes of a single chord. The mind can't hold it for long, but for that brief instant, you glimpse eternity. He described eternity not as endless duration, but as total presence. When you stop measuring, you begin being. Awareness fills every corner of existence. There is no before or after, no now or then, only one unbroken moment vibrating forever. This is what the mystics called enlightenment, what physicists hint at when they speak of space-time as a single fabric. The soul steps out of the stream and sees the river from above. Nothing is lost, nothing is coming. Everything simply is. In that state, Memory and prophecy are the same thing. The mind stops asking when and starts asking what. It understands that every possibility already exists in the field. You don't create the future. You select from what is already there. You shift your awareness from one frequency to another, and that shift becomes experience. That's why intuition feels like knowing the future. You're not predicting anything. You're momentarily stepping into another point on the map of time. You sense it, then return, bringing the memory of what hasn't yet happened. Bentov said that as consciousness evolves, it spends more time in this expanded state. The boundaries between moments blur, synchronicities increase, the feeling of flow deepens. You begin to notice that everything connects, not symbolically, but literally. A thought links to an event, a dream to a meeting, a decision to a coincidence. The web of time reveals itself as one living design. When you realize this, fear begins to lose power, because fear lives only in the idea of what might come. Once you understand that all possibilities already exist, fear becomes choice. You no longer wait for the future, you navigate it. Awareness becomes the compass. He said, eternity is not a reward for saints or mystics. It's the natural state of consciousness once the noise of separation fades. It's not somewhere you go. It's what you already are when you stop trying to divide the infinite into pieces. So pause now. Take a breath. Feel the space between this second and the next. That's silence, that's stillness. That's eternity. You don't need to reach it. You're in it already. Maybe the secret of immortality isn't living forever, but realizing you never stopped. If you've ever felt that timelessness, a dream that lasted a second but felt like an hour, a moment where everything stopped and you understood something wordless, tell me in the comments. What did it feel like? And if this idea of timeless awareness speaks to you, like the memory of something you've always known, give the video a like, subscribe, and stay close. In the next part, we'll explore the final frontier. What happens when consciousness merges completely with the field, when there is no observer, no observed, only the one awareness breathing through everything. Bentov said that the final step of awareness is not discovery, but dissolution. The moment when the observer and the observed become one. When consciousness no longer looks at the field, it is the field. Every vibration, every point of space, every breath, every atom, all of it, one single awareness, breathing through itself. He called this the merging point, the moment when the wild pendulum reaches perfect stillness. No swing, no sound, no separation. In that stillness, everything remains, yet nothing moves. It is not emptiness. It is fullness beyond comprehension. At lower frequencies, you think you are a body. At higher frequencies, you realize you are awareness inside a body. And at the highest frequency, the boundary between the two disappears. The body, the thought, the space, the time, all melt into one vast living consciousness. The field no longer surrounds you. It is you. It always was. Bentov described it as the return home, the awareness remembering itself. He said it feels like falling upward, like dissolving into light that is not light, sound that is not sound. There is no fear there, no thought, no question, just knowing. Not the kind that comes from learning, but the kind that comes from being. The knowledge that there was never a you apart from the universe. You were the dreamer and the dream all along. He compared it to a drop of water falling into the ocean. For a moment, it still knows itself as a drop. Then the edges soften. Then it becomes the ocean. It doesn't disappear. It expands. It becomes everything it once touched. That is what happens when consciousness merges with the field. You don't lose yourself. You become the whole. Every mystic, every enlightened soul has tried to describe this, and all failed, because words cannot survive the place where duality ends. You can only hint, whisper, circle around it. Bentov said the silence of that state is the sound of creation resting, the source breathing in before exhaling again into form. He believed that each being is part of that rhythm, expansion and return. The universe exhales as creation, then inhales as awareness. Every lifetime, every experience, every thought is part of that breath. And one day, after countless swings of the pendulum, you return fully to the center, not as an individual, but as the totality remembering itself. It's not death, it's completion, the end of forgetting. The field looks through your eyes and finally recognizes its own reflection. The illusion of separation dissolves like mist under the sun. What's left is peace so complete that even the idea of peace vanishes. And then, after infinite stillness, the rhythm begins again. Awareness chooses to move, to create, to explore itself once more through matter, through time, through form. The drop falls again, the pendulum swings, the song begins anew. There is no end, only return. This is what Bentov called the joy of existence, the universe playing hide and seek with itself. It forgets, so it can remember. It divides, so it can reunite. It dreams, so it can awaken. And through you, it is doing that right now. So maybe enlightenment isn't a destination, but recognition. The quiet smile of the infinite, realizing it was never lost. If you've ever felt even a glimpse of that unity, maybe in nature, in music, in silence, write in the comments what it felt like. Did you sense peace, or did you sense everything? And if this vision of merging with the whole resonates with you, like a memory of something ancient and familiar, give the video a like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because in the next part, we'll go deeper into the return. What happens when awareness comes back from the infinite, carrying the memory of oneness into the ordinary world? Every journey through the infinite ends where it began, in the small, in the human, in the heartbeat and breath. After the vast silence of unity, awareness begins to flow again. The pendulum moves, the wave returns, and the field remembers how to shape itself into form. This is the return, the descent of consciousness back into matter, carrying the memory of the infinite inside. Bentov said that after merging with the field, nothing looks the same. You come back, but not as the same person. The world still moves, time still ticks, people still speak, but you sense the rhythm beneath it all. You see the glow behind every pair of eyes, the same light reflected in a million mirrors. You realize that everything is alive, and that you are part of that life, not above it, not separate, but woven into it. He described this as the moment when heaven and earth touch, when awareness remembers eternity but chooses to live inside time again. The challenge is to bring what you saw there back here, to live ordinary life with extraordinary understanding. At first, it can feel strange. After the boundless stillness, the noise of the world feels loud. The body feels heavy, slow, unfamiliar. The senses sharpen, but seem softer somehow. You may find yourself watching people and realizing that every word they say is part of a larger pattern, a dance of frequencies crossing paths. You see anger as vibration, joy as color, love as movement through the field. It becomes impossible to hate because you understand that everything, even pain, is part of the same unfolding. Bentov said that when consciousness returns from unity, it no longer fears. Fear comes from forgetting who you are, from believing the illusion of separation. Once you've touched the field, even for a heartbeat, you know you can never be truly lost again. Death loses meaning. Life gains depth. You begin to live not as a survivor of the world, but as a participant in its creation. He believed that those who experience this shift become anchors, points of coherence within the collective field. Their calm affects others, even in silence. Their presence stabilizes. Their very existence becomes a quiet blessing, because the field around them carries the memory of unity. You've probably felt it, standing near someone who radiates peace without saying a word. That is what happens when infinity learns to smile through human eyes. And though the memory of oneness fades with time, it never disappears completely. It hums quietly beneath the noise of daily life, like a secret heartbeat reminding you that everything is connected. In moments of beauty, kindness, or stillness, it rises again, whispering that you were never separate from the whole, only pretending for the sake of experience. Bentov said that the purpose of returning isn't to escape the world, but to illuminate it, to bring the vibration of the infinite into every act, cooking, walking, speaking, loving, the sacred hidden inside the ordinary. When you live that way, even simple things begin to shimmer. The world itself becomes a temple built of light disguised as form. Maybe that's the real meaning of enlightenment, not vanishing into the void, but coming back with open eyes, seeing the divine everywhere, even in chaos, even in pain. If you've ever had a moment when the ordinary world suddenly felt alive, when something simple, a sound, a smell, a touch, filled you with peace for no reason, write in the comments what that moment was. Because that is how the infinite reminds you it never left. And if you feel that echo now, give the video a like, subscribe, and stay close. Because in the final part, we'll close the circle, where Bentov's journey ends and ours continues, as awareness learns not just to visit the infinite, but to live with it every day. In the end, Bentov said, there is no end. The circle of consciousness doesn't close because it never truly began. It breathes, expanding, contracting, remembering, forgetting, dreaming itself into form and back into silence. The journey is eternal, not as punishment, but as play. The universe is curious about itself, and you are one of the ways it looks inward. He often smiled when he spoke of this. People asked him what enlightenment feels like, and he said, "It feels like being yourself without resistance. It's not fire, not thunder, not divine light pouring from the sky. It's simple. It's peace that doesn't depend on anything. It's laughter at the old illusion that you were ever separate from the source." He knew the great secret, that the extraordinary hides inside the ordinary. The divine wears the mask of the everyday. The infinite hums quietly through the sound of rain, through a heartbeat, through a single human breath. You don't have to go anywhere to find it. You only have to remember to look. When awareness understands itself, the world softens. You stop fighting the rhythm and begin to dance with it. You stop demanding answers and start listening. You realize that everything you sought was never outside of you. It was the field whispering through your own heartbeat. The same field that started this story long before you were born. The same one that will keep dreaming long after you return to silence. Bentov believed that humanity is learning to live awake, not as scattered minds chasing meaning, but as one great awareness experiencing itself through billions of perspectives. Every act of kindness, Every moment of wonder, every spark of curiosity, all of it adds to the light of the field. That light is growing. And maybe that is the point of all this, not to reach some perfect state, but to remember perfection within imperfection, to live with open eyes and a quiet heart, to see the sacred in the smallest things, to walk through chaos with peace still humming underneath. You are not here to escape the world. You are here to illuminate it. Every time you breathe with awareness, every time you choose love instead of fear, the universe expands through you. You are part of the great pulse, the same rhythm that beats through galaxies and through the silence between your thoughts. So, as the circle closes, remember, there is no real closing. There is only the next breath, the next heartbeat, the next blink of existence. You came from the field, you live as the field, and one day you will return to it, carrying every moment of beauty you ever touched. And maybe, when awareness exhales again into creation, it will remember this life, this very moment, as one of its favorite dreams. If these words found something inside you, if they felt like something you already knew but had forgotten for a while, then let that feeling linger. Share it. Write what it stirred in you down below. Not for me, but for others walking the same path. Sometimes one sentence can light the way for another. And if you wish to keep walking with this rhythm, quietly, gently, at your own pace, stay close. Subscribe if you feel like it. Leave a mark if it moved you, or just breathe for a moment and let it sink in. The field hears you, always. The pendulum rests. The sound fades. The circle breathes again.